If you were to ask me, what are your pillars of a successful weight loss mindset? Those are them. Honesty, flexibility, creativity. And that's how you make weight loss journeys and healthy living into a lifestyle routine and rhythm that actually sticks.
Welcome to the Health Hobby Podcast, the place for busy moms searching for simple solutions to weight loss, more energy, better nutrition, fitness, and healthy living time management. I'm your host, Amanda Ford. Stick with me and make health your hobby as I guide you through simple steps and skill-building exercises so you can finally hit those dreamy health and weight loss goals. Take it from me, it's time to kick all those fad diets and quick fix workouts to the curb. It's all about slowing down and finding your very own rhythm of healthy living, because when you find your health, you find your joy. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Health Hobby Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Ford, welcoming back everyone who's been listening and welcoming any newcomers. This is the place to be if you're looking to learn real strategies to lose weight, make health your hobby as a busy, full-time working mom, stay-at-home mom, just a busy woman in general. And I'm so glad to have everyone here. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is pushing me outside of my comfort zone. I have to be honest, quite a bit, but I think it's important that we tackle this topic and discuss some other ways to track weight loss and fitness progress instead of numerical data. Before we get started, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Health Hobby Podcast on YouTube if you are watching over there. And if you're not watching, make your way over there. Subscribe to the Health Hobby Podcast YouTube channel. And if you're listening on audio only, make sure to follow the Health Hobby Podcast on all of your favorite podcast platforms. So if you've been following the Health Hobby Podcast for a while, then you know that I am a big believer in tracking everything. It keeps me engaged, it helps me make decisions and shows me where I'm making progress. And it shows me where I have gaps and need to focus my attention. Overall, this seems pretty positive, right? It seems like tracking is a critical tool that leads us towards success in our weight loss journeys. And in fact, my number one podcast to date, the episode with the most downloads since it has been published, it completely blows every other episode out of the water, you guys. It's called The Power of Tracking Calories for Weight Loss. It's episode number 20, and I'll link it below. But I know it's so popular because women are looking for real solutions to weight loss that not only move the needle and are no longer in this fad diet zone or just a 30-day challenge. They're looking for a real strategy that will teach them lifelong skills and actually get them those weight loss results for good this time and allow them to maintain it, not just over a 30-day window or a 9-week window, in these challenges that people participate in. I absolutely love challenges and I've hosted them and I'm going to be hosting some, as time goes on. But the goal for those are really to just get you jump started. And it's not just like one and done and it's over. You need to maintain those skills and those routines over time. So that's why learning how to track your calories, your weight, a lot of other metrics, your mood, is so critical that for me as a weight loss coach, it's one of the pillars of my strategy that I teach my clients and that I teach on this podcast. But while I see tracking as a positive tool and a driver of success for me and those I coach, others may see it as an alarm bell going off and flashing lights in their face to how they are failing each week. This is detrimental to any possibility of moving towards progress and could be damaging to our mental state. So if that's you, I want you to know that it's okay. And that's why I'm making this episode. So hang on tight. And to be honest, I don't know enough about psychology to understand why one particular woman would see tracking as a must-do positive tool. No matter what she's seeing, good or bad, she's using it as a driver to make decisions towards progress. And that's what I share. That's the strategy that I utilize and that I teach on this podcast and to my clients, versus a woman who can't see past the scale not moving 1 week, that she missed one workout. And at this point, she is absolutely feeling like she's terrible and incapable of losing weight. There's definitely some psychology concepts going on here. Perhaps I could learn more about that. If you know, put what you know in the comments on YouTube. I'd love to learn from you. Or if you have resources for me, that would be a good place for me to start understanding, because I do think I need to learn more about that, because if I can really get nitty gritty in that area, man, I can help so much more people. But essentially, to simplify it, right? It's a glass half full or a glass half empty situation. So before we move on, I have to know, which are you? Get down in the YouTube comments and share, or send me a DM on Instagram if you're listening right now at the Health Hobby Podcast Instagram. Are you someone who likes to know all the information so you can work to correct and improve shortcomings? Or are you someone who feels let down and defeated by learning where you misstepped during the week? Put your answers in the comments. No matter which side you're on, it's totally fine. And one is not more positive than the other. That's just who you are. And we have to figure out ways to support. Actually, I have to figure out, as a weight loss coach, it's my job to figure out ways to support both mindsets. And then you, as the participant in the weight loss journey, it's up to you to be honest with yourself and realize, okay, I'm in this camp or I'm in that camp. And how can I utilize the way that I think and the way that I am? It's unique and special to you to progress, whatever mindset you're currently in. So you may be wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, I was listening to my new favorite podcast. It's called Front Page Fitness. It's two PhDs who break down the science of current health, fitness, and weight loss headlines. So they'll pull headlines from the New York Times, the New York Post, Wall Street Journal. They'll pull trends off TikTok and Instagram. They'll take claims that even physicians are promoting on their Instagram pages, things like that. Big headlines that all of us see and experience through our current culture. And they're usually pretty up to date too. So they're current events, essentially. And what they do is they break down the science behind these claims. And they either say, hey, this is actually a really great study. This is legitimate. This is a legitimate headline. Take action on it. And they give you practical advice on how to utilize it in a regular person's life, not in a lab setting, right? You have to remember that a lot of the things that we hear, a study says, and I'm actually going to say this later in a few minutes, a study says the studies are done in a controlled environments a lot of the times. And the other thing to remember is that a lot of health, wellness, nutrition, fitness studies, not all, but a lot of them are done on a survey basis. And if you've done anything in college, I remember this was like, once you get into sciences and you talk about study dynamics and what is a legitimate study or not, you learn that a survey is one of the least reliable studies. So a lot of studies that we hear headlines from are survey data. And people lie on their surveys. They either lie that they're doing really good, they lie that they're doing really bad. Some people are neutral and they tell the truth, but it's just not those tight, controlled circumstances. So anyway, they break stuff down like that. They totally debunk things that seem really beautiful and exciting in a headline. You're like, oh, I'm going to try that supplement, for example. I'm going to do this. I think I could really utilize that. And they're like, they'll tell you straight up, like, yeah, you could do it, but it's just really not worth your time. And they'll tell you why. Very practical information. You got to listen to it. They have a hilariously dry sense of humor when they're talking about all this stuff. And I'm just absolutely in love with this podcast. I'll link it below. But there was a particular episode, and it was actually the first episode I listened to. So coincidentally, I was like, oh no, this one's for me. God definitely put this in my ears for a reason. And in this episode, they're discussing how tracking metrics like weight, BMI, so that's your body mass index, and lean mass, that's your body weight minus your fat, can be super motivating for analytical minds. So that's someone like me, or maybe like you, maybe not, but it's potentially devastating for others. As you all know, I absolutely love tracking all these details, like down to the percentage complete I was with my workouts during the week. My weight I take daily at the same time every day. My calories I track throughout the day. I love, 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 love this stuff. And I will continue to teach to do that because I believe it works very well. I've had many people utilize that strategy and it works pretty much every time. But as a good weight loss coach, I'm always happy to be reminded that not all women are alike. And I'm thankful for this episode of Front Page Fitness who offered this key insight that tracking can be a tool or it can be a trigger. And it's up to us to figure out what keeps us motivated, not miserable. So if you've been listening to the Health Hobby podcast and you're like, man, Amanda's always saying I should track. And I've tried this tracking thing. I've tried to track my calories. I've tracked my weight. It really isn't motivating me. It's actually keeping me stuck and frustrated. Well, then it's up to you to figure out, okay, what can you do to keep yourself motivated? Because the number one thing that works, the number one secret, it's not really a secret, but the golden ticket to any weight loss strategy, it doesn't matter if it's mine or one of these PhDs that I'm listening to on Front Page Fitness, or Andrew Huberman's, if you don't know who he has a great podcast, or the trainer at your gym, your sister's, some fad diet, keto, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. The golden ticket to work is consistency. Every time my strategy works, your trainer's strategy works, your sister's strategy works, your coworker's strategy works, but it might not work for you. And so it's important to be very honest with yourself and say, okay, what is going to work for me? And we're going to talk about this in just a second. Super important as someone who's a weight loss coach to remember. So I'm actually talking to myself, or if there's any other weight loss coaches out there, or if you're thinking about being a weight loss coach, especially because, I deeply want everyone who needs to lose weight for health reasons, wants to lose weight for feeling confident and getting fit and strong and to get your energy back and to increase just your general health and wellness. I want you to feel empowered to do that through what I teach and how I present my strategies with an emphasis on tracking quantitative metrics, weight, calories, BMI, body measurements may not be for you. It's really important for me to remember that. However, you have to track something so you can see that you've actually made some sort of progress. So in this episode, we're going to push the numbers aside and discuss alternative ways for you to fully participate in your weight loss journey without tracking numbers, but tracking in other creative ways. Just a second here, I said a word that's really, really important to my weight loss strategy and philosophy. So I just want to pause a second and I want you to let the word creative sink in. One of my locked-in philosophies for successful weight loss revolves around women having to be honest, flexible, and creative. And I have another one, it's brave, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But honesty, flexibility, and creativity, those, if you were to ask me, what are your pillars of a successful weight loss mindset? Those are them. Honesty, flexibility, creativity. And that's how you make weight loss journeys and healthy living into a lifestyle routine and rhythm that actually sticks. So you may be holding back on starting your weight loss journey because you're thinking to yourself, I do not want to track all those numbers. I don't want to see the scale every day. The thought of doing this is actually keeping you stuck, nervous, or even fearful. So In this instance, this is your opportunity to be flexible and say, okay, I have to track something. Otherwise, I won't know if it's working. And then it's also your opportunity to get creative and say, okay, I'm not going to track the numbers, but what can I track instead? That's the vibe and the goal of this episode, friends. Now, I've commented that there was a study, and here I go. There's a study that shows. I've brought this study up multiple times. I believe it was from West Virginia University. I can link it again below. But this study showed that those who tracked their food calories lost twice as much weight as those who did not. So I would need to dig into the nitty-gritty details of this study to get a really deep understanding of how they came to that conclusion. But that outcome statement from that study is extremely encouraging and speaks to the power of tracking. And to be honest, I'm unsure if the participants in this study were tracking quantitative calories in and out like I do, like in a calorie tracking app, or if they were just keeping a simple food journal with no numbers. So they were just writing down like, I had Cheerios and milk. I had an apple, I had a turkey sandwich and a protein bar for lunch. Just really general food journaling instead of tracking the caloric intake, the numerical intake. That's actually something you can consider as an alternative. I do recommend tracking your food, but maybe tracking the numerical caloric data at this point is intimidating to you. A really great first place to start is to just to keep a generic food journal and just write down what you ate. Don't worry about how much it is. That is a perfect starting point for tracking your food if you're just really hesitant about tracking your calories numerically right out of the gate. But we'll talk about other ways to track non-numerically here in a little bit. But overall, I love reminding people of this study because who wouldn't want to 2x their weight loss results? It's really just not that much extra effort, right? It's not like I'm saying, oh, you can 2x your weight loss results by running 3 extra miles every single day. That's a lot of effort and is hard. And most people wouldn't do that. No, I'm saying, no, you can just keep a journal of your food and you are more likely to lose 2 times as much weight versus if you didn't do that little journaling exercise. And I love that. It's encouraging. Again, I think I'm going to break down the study and read it deeper so I can understand exactly what the participants did and kind of understand the mechanisms behind their tracking. But just keep that in mind. It's one of my shameless plugs to keep tracking. So who should track and who maybe should not track? So before I get into this, I want to say, I'm not trying to put anyone into a particular category. I'm just trying to bring up circumstances that and respect and recognize particular circumstances that may be really good for people, that really would be encouraging for them to track, and circumstances that might cause fear or setbacks or a lack of progress. So I'm not saying this is absolutely you, but it's just something to think about, right? We have to be honest. We have to look deep inside if we want to be successful in a weight loss journey. Weight loss is very intimate. It's emotional. It's a mindset game. You know, my husband runs marathons and I always liken it to being on a weight loss journey because it's just he'll tell you it's just like a continual beating, the pounding on the pavement. It's just over and over and it's forever. It's 26 miles and it goes on forever. And the training up to a marathon is rigorous and it's just like relentless. And I'm not trying to put this difficult viewpoint on a weight loss journey. So let's talk about who should track numerically and possibly those who shouldn't. Now, before I get into who should and shouldn't, this doesn't mean I'm talking to you specifically and I'm putting you into this little space and this is absolutely you. This is your category. I just want to open up the conversation and think about circumstances that could put us in an advantage to track versus maybe someone that it's a disadvantage or would cause issues and cause them not to have progress. So again, just something to think about. We have to be open and honest when we're on a weight loss journey. That's one of my key philosophies, right? I talked about that just a minute ago. So let's talk about those who should track, and I'm raising my hand because my notes say someone that's extremely analytical, someone that's a really big examiner. So I did a personality test one time, and one of the outcomes of the test was you are an examiner, meaning like I ask a lot of questions. I want to know exactly how every single step in a process works, why it works, how it works. It's quite exhausting in my brain sometimes, but listen, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's you, you're very analytical, you're an examiner, this method, tracking numerically, is going to benefit you. I can tell you anecdotally that it works, and I can tell you from past clients that I've had that it absolutely works. So if that's you, if you're analytical, tracking numerically is absolutely for you. And tracking these other elements we're going to talk about later is also for you too. But the numerical data, spreadsheets, girl, it's you. It's your game, okay? You need to consider doing this. If you're like, what can I do to optimize my weight loss journey, or I'm starting a weight loss journey, what should I do? You got to be tracking the numbers, okay? People that are data lovers, me, I like to see the data. People with experience interpreting trends. I want to talk about this more. This is important. And I really think this is the kicker that sets apart that mindset we talked about in the beginning of people that really want to see the data and it drives them towards progress versus those who don't, that it creates anxiety or frustration. People with experience interpreting data, or people who are interested in learning how to interpret data that they're given, tracking numerically for on your weight loss journey is very important, and it becomes necessary because you start to see trends and patterns. When we see trends and patterns, we're able to identify gaps, identify positive progress, and where things should remain and stay the same. We're able to see, for example, I'm going to talk about weight fluctuations here in a little bit. Weight fluctuations as becoming normalized and a pattern per se, and trends throughout the month. As women, we have monthly cycles, so our bodies go through a cycle of hormonal shifts every single month, and we can see how our body metrics shift through those patterns and trends. So when interpreting data helps you drive decisions. In fact, this is how a successful business works. This is how CEOs make decisions. They need to see data. I can't make decisions unless I have the data to show me a trend, a pattern that is something's working or something isn't working. I work in a hospital. We live on data, data all day long. What's the patient data like? What's the trends like? What's the length of stay like? Why are we seeing more stroke patients? I mean, all the things. Is there a trend in COVID? Is there a trend in flu? All the things. We're tracking literally everything. How long did it take for the nurses to take the patient back to the emergency room? Every little thing you can track in a hospital is key to making decisions for the outcome of the patient. The same thing goes for us in our weight loss journey. So people that are in that space in their mind, like they're like, I want to know the ins and outs of all the things, the whys, the hows, the patterns. This is for you. That's who should be tracking. On the flip side, if you're new to weight loss, this is very difficult for me to say because it goes against what I teach, but I'm glad to be schooled. Like I said, I was listening to that podcast and it reminded me, because it's easy to be laser focused on my way, but it doesn't have to be the way. So if you are brand new to weight loss, you're ready to start your weight loss journey, maybe you are fearful of the numbers or tracking, you're just unsure of it. It gives you anxiety or whatever. Perhaps you take your weight on day one. Let's just talk about our weight. And then you give it several weeks, and then you take it on week 4, week 5, or week 6, really spacing out that tracking. Or we're going to do no numbers at all. We're going to talk again later in the podcast. We'll talk about non-numerical ways to track. But potentially someone that's brand new to weight loss, it might be overwhelming to track all the data and it could hold you back. I disagree, but I am willing to bring that up and say that, hey, there are women that you may fall into that category. And that's okay because we have solutions. Again, that's what this episode's all about. Women or men who have had emotional or some sort of eating disorder. So again, I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I'm not an eating disorder expert in any sort of manner. And so I say this very lightly. I actually hope and pray that if I was to coach someone, if I found out that you had an eating disorder, I actually would refer you to someone else. But it would be my hope and my prayer that someone that had that in their past experience or is going through that, that actually utilizing tracking would be a benefit to them, because it would show them that they are doing well. But I understand that there's psychological mechanisms at play with women that have eating disorders, that they physically cannot see a positive outcome, or their body image, even the things that we're going to talk about later in the podcast, the non-numerical tracking, they physically are unable to see any positive shifts or a healthy person in front of them. So there's nothing wrong with that. That is a space that people can help you with if that's you. But no, you probably shouldn't be tracking the numbers if that is you, because I would never want it to be a trigger to send you spinning out into another disordered bout and cause you harm in any way. But I've said this on another podcast, and it was actually the podcast 20, The Power of Calorie Tracking, because I wanted to say I actually disagree with the myth that it's causing eating disorders. Tracking your calories is a catalyst to causing disordered eating. I'm not going to say it's not, but I do, because there's always an exception, but I do disagree, because I hope and I pray that it would shed light that woman, that you are actually doing the right things, that you're eating healthy foods, that you are on track. But I have to bring that up. It always comes up. People always say, well, I don't want to track my calories because I'll become obsessed and I'll have disordered eating. Well, yeah, if you're already on that train, when you hear about calorie tracking, if that's where your mind goes, you probably shouldn't do it. And you should consider some of the other solutions that I'll give later in the podcast. I like this note that I wrote. You should not track, friend, if your day is going to be ruined by a single data point, and it's usually your weight. It's like if you step on the scale on one day, I don't mean to laugh, but like, I just don't want you to spin out and have your day ruined. And you're like, oh, I knew it. Rage. Because your scale went up, I don't know, a few ounces or even a pound or two versus it from what it was yesterday. I don't mean to laugh. I'm saying I'm laughing with love. I don't want you to track numerically. I don't want you to be in that space. I want you to feel encouraged and empowered. So girl, if that's you, don't track. Don't track numerically. Like, just don't do it to yourself. Okay. And I love everyone who listens to this podcast. We're all in this together. We're all in different phases of life. We all have different brain chemistries. We all have different past experiences with weight loss, or we have no experience with weight loss. So we have to really dig in and kind of understand, well, what's my personality? What's your personality? So you can figure out what will work best for you. So are you someone that you think that you should track numerically, or are you someone that you think you should absolutely not? Put it in the comments. Now we kind of talked about the who's and the who shouldn't. I'm curious about what you think you are personally and what would work best for you. So I'm always teaching to track because it works. But today I want to give you some non-numerical ways to measure your success. Before we talk about that, I am going to dive into some problems with only tracking numbers. And again, I'm pausing because it goes against everything that I teach, but I'm just really, I make this podcast for you guys. I don't make this podcast for me. So like, I know what works and I'm like, no, you need to do it this way. And I'm just going to keep emphasizing. When I look at my overall goal of the podcast, it's like, my goal is to inspire and motivate you to take action. And the you that's listening, friend, mom, sister, cousin, lady, whoever you are, neighbor, coworker, I want you to be inspired. And what works for me might not essentially work for you. And I'm so glad I listened to that podcast, you guys, that shared, that insight with me, to remember that not everyone works in the same way. So let's talk about the problem with only tracking numbers. Oof, this is so hard for me to say. Like, I keep saying this, you guys. I'm a big numbers geek, but for those of you who want to throw tomatoes at my face when I recommend tracking numbers, let's talk about the problem with only tracking numbers. And let's get on your side a little bit. So let's talk about body metrics. So body metrics, when I say we should track these, I'm talking about your weight, your physical measurements. So like your body circumferences, arms, thighs, waist, hips, booty, your neck, in some cases, body fat percentage, BMI. So your personal body metrics, they can change daily. Yes, daily. Even if you're like, well, I'm eating super on point with my calorie budget. I haven't missed a workout and I'm getting enough sleep. I'm drinking enough water. They can still change daily and even throughout the day. So that can be problematic, right? So if you aren't someone that is really attuned or open to tracking trends, like I just talked about, that can be extremely problematic. So hormones play a big role here, the types of foods you're eating from day to day, the types of beverages that you're eating, having, your physical activity, your environment, your hydration levels or lack of hydration, the levels of stress you experience, your sleep. So much goes into how these metrics can shift literally by the hour, that tracking numbers can be extremely problematic. So when you're not tuned into these variables as something that is normal, and you're just laser focused on, one single data point, let's just say it's your weight, because that's what most people are always like infatuated with. Your weight fluctuates quite a bit each day. Like, it's totally normal. Your weight can shift 1 to 6 pounds per day. I know that's crazy. It's absolutely true. I know it's true because I track my weight every day. It happens even when you're on a weight loss journey. And if you're listening to this in real time, it's the end of July right now. And I just posted on my Instagram just a few days ago, that I was at my lowest weight. I was at 155. And the last couple of days, I've inched back up. I've creeped back up to 159. I'm still eating in my calorie budget. I'm still working out. It's just what happens. And that has happened for the last 10 weeks or so that I've been on this journey. I can't even remember how many weeks now. Maybe I'm at 12 weeks. I have to look back, but that's happened and I can see it. I have a graph, and that's why I like to track, because I can see the downward trend, but I can also see when it spiked back up, like big spikes, and then it came back down. Totally normal. But it can be problematic if you're not into acknowledging it's a trend, that this is normal. And if you're just not willing or able to see that, tracking numbers is not for you. And it's a big problem, and it could keep you stuck and frustrated. And I don't want you to feel like that, friend. The other reason that tracking numbers only is problematic is the lack of precision. So the equipment that measures your body metrics, like a home scale, a soft measuring tape, and even if you go to the gym and get a calipers test for your body fat percentage from a personal trainer, or you get on the InBody machine. That's like it's a scale that you stand on, you hold on to these little bars, and it sends electrical impulses through your hands and your feet, and it spits out a bunch of data, which I love this thing, by the way. If you're interested in that, most gyms have them. They cost like $20 to do. And they give you a sheet of paper with your body metrics and your data, very, very detailed. All of those things, even the gold standard, a DEXA scan. DEXA is probably the most precise, but there's always a margin of error for all of them. So taking your body measurements, for example, when I do my own, I actually go through the process and measure each area 3 times, because the tape placement is very important. Like the exact point on the body where you put your measuring tape, for example, on the thigh, could give you different measurements each time. So depending on where I place the tape, I could get less or more, or it could be spot on from what it was last week. That's only one variable that could cause a lack of precision. So the thigh, for example, as you know, if you look at your thigh, it kind of flares out in the middle, and it gets thinner when it gets towards your knee, and it kind of goes back in if you get really high up in your groin when it gets really close to your hip. Then at the belly, right there in the middle, at the biggest part of your thigh, well, that's where you need to measure. So depending on where I put my measuring tape, even if I know that, hey, I need to measure at the belly of the thigh muscle, just a small shift in that placement can give me different numbers. So that's a really important thing to remember is there's a lack of precision when we're tracking numbers only. And that goes in any science, right? Precision is very important. So some other things, again, if we're talking about measuring your body circumferences on your thighs, your legs, your arms, your waist, your booty, your chest, those can change too, just like your weight, depending on, maybe you're retaining a little bit more fluid that day. Your hormones are different that day. It's a different time of day than you took your measurements last time. Or maybe you just went for a 2-mile walk and you're like, oh, I need to do my body measurements. Well, your body is going to be a little bit not super swollen, but it's going to be, activated from that walk. And, you're going to have a little more fluid. Your blood volume is going to be a little higher because you were physically active. So all of these things, I know this seems really nitty gritty and in the weeds, but all these things contribute to taking precise data. So same for the scale. If you're talking about weight fluctuations, well, a scale at your doctor's office versus the scale in your bathroom versus the scale at the gym, they could all be off by I don't know, I'm just going to make this up, but no joke, 3 to 5 or even 6 pounds, they could be off. So you might be measuring 172 at the doctor's office. And then when you get home, you're like, that's weird. I'm 170 when I measure at home. But when you go to the gym, you're 175. What's happening? I don't know. It's because the scales aren't calibrated exactly the same. They're different machines. They have different computers inside. And essentially, they're not calibrated. And you probably took your weight at different times of day. You may have had food on one day, not at the other. All these factors play in to why our metrics are always fluctuating. I've said it 1,000 times already, but it's important to remember. So I want to share this because even though we're going to talk about ways that aren't numerical tracking, I want you to start thinking about, well, maybe I will eventually start tracking the numbers in some capacity. And I want you to know that there is a trend of fluctuation no matter what, and that's normal. So really quick, this is my shameless plug for you to track your weight daily. I can't help myself, okay? I think it's really helpful, and I've had clients who found it super helpful. I find it helpful. All the super smart nutrition and exercise physiologists, the PhDs that I lean on to learn the science through, seem to have a similar take on tracking weight, at least at this time in history. So they all seem to say that taking your weight once a week is what you should do. And then take your average weight loss over the month. I can see how this is more realistic as far as time-wise. That's time, respecting your time. And it also takes out that daily visual of the weight fluctuations. I do think it's helpful to track your weight daily because I can see the body's patterns and it becomes normalized, right? So it's not like it might be hard for you for a week or two, but then you're going to be like, oh, I was up one day and now I'm down. I was up a little bit, but now I'm down a little bit more. It's kind of like you take one step forward and a half a step back, 2 steps forward, and then maybe even 1 step back. That's kind of how a weight loss journey is. And it continues to do that as long as you participate in your, I would say 75% compliant with your programming, maybe even, probably 75%. You're going to get results, but it really just normalizes those fluctuations. But again, I realize that can really drive people crazy. Again, the whole purpose of this podcast. But here's the thing too. I keep saying you're going to see the weight fluctuations. It's going to drive you crazy. But here's the other thing. You're going to also see that you've lost weight. Hello, that's what you want to see. That's a big deal and that's a huge win. So that's why I like tracking my weight daily. And I want to encourage you to, or you just start thinking about it. You don't have to start doing it now. So if you are still on team, I don't want to track anything, that's okay. We can still be friends. But if you're listening to this and are curious about tracking or want to start tracking right now, I want you, or maybe you're curious about how you can fine tune your tracking. And this is specifically around tracking your weight. Please, please, please listen to these tips. Okay. So when you're tracking your weight, make sure when at all possible, you take your weight in the morning and around the same time on the same scale. In a perfect world, you have gone to the bathroom. You've gone number one and you've gone number two. So those parameters, those are perfect world solutions. So you also don't have heavy clothes on. So naked or maybe you're in like very lightweight PJs or undies only. I get this is not totally possible for everyone, but this helps with trying to get some sort of precision. I'm doing air quotes when tracking your weight. So we can really eliminate the big swings and fluctuations versus like you took your weight in the morning on Monday. Then on Tuesday, you forgot to take your weight, or you just decided to take your weight when you got home from work after you've had 3 meals and you took the dog for a walk. You've been stressed out at work. There's all types of reasons why your weight would be different, at 5 o'clock at night versus at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that's called a dry weight. When you've gone number one, number two, you've had no food or drink for several hours. And that's why taking your weight in the morning is really helpful, because we all have these really kind of locked in routines in the morning. So for example, literally I wake up at the same time every day. I go to the bathroom, I get on the scale, I brush my teeth, and I go do my workout or go do chores. But those first few things happen in the same order every day. And my weight still fluctuates, but I know that it's a dry weight, that it's as close to precise as I can get it, right? It's on the same scale, using the same computer, the same scale. It's calibrated to me. It helps with the precision. So if you're going to track your weight, try to hit one or all of those tips. So stay in the morning, early in the morning, ideally right when you get up, you've gone to the restroom, you haven't had any coffee, you haven't had any nothing. And you don't have like a big heavy clothes on or anything. You're pretty much naked or just in lightweight pajamas or underwear. So those are my tips. If you're going to track your weight, try to hit those tips to make sure that you can get as precise as possible. So let's get back to the discussion on how tracking numbers can be problematic. I want to respect that. And I understand that it just really can drive people nuts. So if that's you, listen carefully. If the numbers demotivate you, you're not broken, friend. You just need different tools. And we're going to talk about those tools today. So I'm going to talk about 6 non-numerical ways to track your progress. And I track everything. So I actually do the numbers and this. I've said this a million times. This is kind of like my hobby. That's why my podcast is called The Health Hobby. So I know that might be excessive for many of you, but I want to share another episode. It's my journal prompts episode that it kind of leans into some of these non-numerical data sets that you can consider when you're tracking your weight loss journey. It's episode 24. And it's called Weekly Weight Loss Journal Prompts to Lead You to Success. I'll link it below. And these are more of they're journal prompts that will prompt qualitative responses from you that are not numerical. So I really love this episode. If you're not on YouTube, it's helpful to watch that episode because I do have a slide deck that goes with it that shows the journal prompts. So you definitely want to check that one out. And it's a really great thing to couple with this episode of what we're going to talk about next here. The first non-numerical way that you can track your weight loss progress is through progress pictures. Oh boy, who doesn't love a good before and after weight loss picture? I love them. I love to see them all over social. I always cheer. If I see anyone's before and afters, I am always just like, let's go. They are so inspiring to see other people's, but aspiring to keep your own personal photo journal of your weight loss journey. So, when should you take your progress photos? Well, that's really up to you. To simplify the process, definitely take it on your day one, or what I call your day zero, and take it in an outfit that you can see the curves and the shape of your body. So a lot of people do a two-piece swimsuit or workout clothes. You don't want it to be in something baggy or oversized. And you also don't want it to be in something that's keeping you sucked in and tight. So maybe don't wear those shaper leggings or a one-piece bathing suit that might kind of suck you in a little bit. You want to really see the shape of your body as it is, relaxed. And that's a really good also tip to remind yourself, is that when you're taking the photos, take a deep breath and relax. If you want to go on my Instagram page, you can see me. I have some before and afters. You can see me taking that breath when I'm posing to take the picture, because I want my abdomen and my shoulders not to be too arched up. I want everything to be just relaxed and loose. I don't want to say that word, but to really show you, and so I can see how my body actually looks in a relaxed state. So not all tucked in and sucked in. You can also just do underwear, a bra, just something that shows the shape of your body. And you can also do, and I absolutely love this, you can put on maybe an outfit that you've been wanting to wear for quite some time that you know that doesn't fit right now. I've seen women do this in their wedding dresses. It is so fun when they get to the point when they can zip up their wedding dress, right? When they were much younger, they had a different body composition, and they just wanted to put on that dress and feel like they did at that moment in that time. And the smiles are just so fun and sweet. So maybe you have a dress, maybe it's not your wedding dress, but maybe you have a dress that you like to wear to work, or maybe, like I really like pencil, really tailored bodycon dresses. And I don't really feel confident in them when I'm really not at my peak fitness. And I've just recently, if you're listening in real time, I'm working to lose 20 pounds myself. I've hit about 10 pounds lost. I'm going back and forth. As I was sharing, my weight is fluctuating slowly as I continue to trend downward towards that 20 pounds lost goal. But just with that 10 pounds lost, I do feel more confident in wearing my more fitted, more tailored dresses to work. So maybe it's a pair of jeans. I have a pair of jeans that I haven't been able to put on for many years. They are not jeans that I would say are currently trendy, but they are my favorite jeans. They're from the Gap. They are the Gap's boyfriend jean, and they are to this date my favorite jeans of all time. And I haven't been able to wear them for many years. I can't wait to zip these jeans up, you guys. So think about if it's an outfit. So put on that outfit, knowing that it's not going to fit. Take your photos in that relaxed state. You want to do a front on photo, a side photo with your arms out so you can see your side profile, and then a photo of the back. And that's your day zero photo. And so when should you take them again? Well, I like to do them once a week. But if that's a little bit much for you, take them every 2 weeks, because then you're going to see a nice bulk result over the last, you're going to see a nice solid set of results over 2 weeks that you're going to really see a lot of change. Some other tips about taking progress photos are, you want to use the same lighting if you can in the same space. You want to use a solidish background. If you have just like a blank wall in your house, that's really nice too, or just anything that's a blank background so you can really see the contours and the shape of your body. And then, like I said, you want to be in the same clothes or same or very similar clothes every single time so you can really visualize that change and track the tone and the posture and the shifting of your body composition, which is the shape of your body as you work through your weight loss journey. So ideally, if you're following my strategies, you are working to lose weight, but at the same time, you're strength training and you're working to gain muscle and to get strong. So your body composition, the shape of your body is going to shift, and you should ideally see those you should see definitely something shift in 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks as I say this, I feel like that's a nice interval to take your progress pictures. And a really fun tip is to create an album in your phone so you're not scrolling through your 25,000 plus. That's my photo library right now of pictures on your phone, and just pop those photos in there each time you take them so you can have a nice visual. And if you use Chronometer, which is the calorie tracking app that I use, maybe you're not tracking your calories yet, but you can put your progress pictures in there and it keeps them in a nice album for you too, which is really fun. Small changes add up over time. So if you're doing this in a 2 week window, you're definitely going to see some shifts on how you fit in that favorite outfit of yours and just how your body looks over the 2 weeks that you've been working hard on your weight loss journey. So progress photos are the best. I love them. And they can just really keep you motivated. I just think they're so fun. They're fun to share with people too. So if you're not shy, I have a social media presence, but I have to be honest, I don't like being on camera and I don't like posting on social media, but I do it anyway because I want to drive listeners to the podcast so I can help women find their fitness, find their weight loss, and just feel good and energized. But it does inspire people. I get messages all the time. You inspired me to meal prep this week. You inspired me to finally start. I love that. So think about how it might not be just you sharing your journey, but you could inspire someone else in your life too to start taking care of their weight loss by sharing your progress pictures. So get your progress pictures going, and I want to see them. If you're gonna take some progress pictures, make sure you tag at the Health Hobby Podcast. I want to cheer you on too. So anytime you take one, just be like, this is my before and my after 2 weeks. Here's my day 0 and my 4 weeks. Man, they get so impressive. I saw a reel of someone sharing her weight loss journey, and I wish I kind of did this. She did her weight loss photos. They weren't really photos. They were just a video, and it was 6 months. She did it once a month. She did a really small video of her body composition, and she just did a little twirl really slowly so you could slowly see. And man, 6 months, that was really fun to watch. It was massive. And I like seeing the longer progress videos, progress photos, because you can see, one, that it takes a while. This is not an overnight situation. And two, you can really see massive change. So the progress videos, progress photos are really fun to take, a great way to do non-numerical tracking. Okay, here's the second one, and it's got to be my favorite. It's definitely my favorite. And this is how your clothes are fitting. And I already kind of mentioned this in the photos, is like, put on your favorite outfit. Maybe you're not doing your photos or your progress videos in a bathing suit, but maybe it's in one of your favorite outfits that you haven't worn in a while, or you bought a dress and you're like, I bought this dress. It's a size too small. I'm going to use this as my motivation to fit into it. But jeans, sports bras, a jacket, these are real life. Literally, I feel like if you're participating in your weight loss journey, you are really, even if the scale, say you are tracking your weight all the time, you are going to see shifts in your clothing, how your clothing fits right out of the gate. And it's going to make you feel so good. And to me, this is one of the reasons that I really want to work on my body composition, is because we're in our clothes all the time and we want to feel confident. We want to feel put together and that we've taken care of ourselves, and that our clothes that we spend lots of our hard-earned money on look nice on us. And, as women, our outward appearance, it's not about that. Everything in life is not about outward appearance all the time, but it does help us feel confident. And I'm not afraid to say that. So how are your clothes fitting? So if you forget about the scale, you forget about your progress pictures, you're participating in your weight loss journey. You're not tracking your food. You're like, I'm working out. I'm eating cleaner. from what you can tell, you are using a strategy that's going to work. You're participating in a plan. You're giving it time to work. And your method of tracking is how your clothes are fitting. So every day you can probably get a clothes win. I've been sharing on my Instagram. If you're not following me over on my Instagram, go ahead and follow at the Health Hobby Podcast. I would love to have you in the community. But I share in my stories a non-scale win, and it's always something that I've pulled out of my closet that I haven't worn for a long time. And I literally feel like I have a brand new wardrobe. It's quite nice. So think about how your clothing can motivate you and be your metric for tracking your progress and if something is working or not working. And it's still important to say that, say you have a favorite pair of jeans and one week they are fitting not so great because you just started. And then the next week you're like, wow, that was a little bit easier for me to zip up this week. And I do look a little less puffy, maybe a little thinner in these jeans. I look like I fit in these jeans a little more nicely. And then the next week you might maybe inch back to maybe not feeling as comfortable. That still happens with clothes, but it's just normal, you guys. Those are just those normal fluctuations. And you will continue, if you're participating and you maintain, you will continue to trend down towards that goal weight, that goal body composition, that goal outfit that you are daydreaming of wearing. So think about, how are your clothes fitting day to day, and over the days, the weeks, and the months, are you feeling more comfortable and confident in your clothes? And this is a really good reminder too, is that you don't need a tape measure to know your waistband fits differently, right? Like, I'm thinking about all kinds of clothes that I've pulled out in the last few weeks that I would wear them, but they were uncomfortable to wear because I just was a little bit too heavy for the size. And this is just, oh gosh, I love this one. So I want to know, what outfit are you going to use for your weight loss tracking? What outfit? Is it going to be your wedding dress? Is it going to be a bathing suit? Is it going to be a work outfit? I remember when I was working in the operating room, it was always, and I was working to lose 20 pounds. This is many years ago. And you have to change into scrubs from the hospital when you get into the operating room because it's a sterile environment. Anyway, so it was always a big deal if you could wear like the smaller size. That was like, if I could get down to the smaller size, I could get size down in my scrubs. That was how I tracked. I knew I have pictures of me in the locker room, like excited that I got to wear the smaller size scrub pants and the smaller top. So you guys, whatever motivates you. So maybe it's your scrubs if you work in healthcare, but maybe it's not. I want to know, what outfit are you daydreaming about fitting in, and that are you going to use for your weight loss tracking? So the third way that you can do non-numerical tracking is through assessing your strength and endurance gains. Again, if you're following my strategies, you're not only trying to lose weight because you are at a space where it would benefit you to lose weight. You're feeling like you need to lose weight for your health outcomes and a host of other reasons, but you're also working to gain muscle. So many reasons why that's important. It's not the topic of this podcast, but for example, if you were tracking your weight and it was driving you crazy because it's changing every day, tracking, and you're like, forget this, I'm over it. I'm just going to keep on keeping on this strat, on my plan, but I'm not going to track my weight. Instead, you could consider to track how you're improving, how you're progressing strength-wise and endurance-wise in your workouts, during your workouts. So are you lifting heavier? Has your endurance on your walks or your runs improved? Does your workout suddenly start to seem easier? I'm doing air quotes, right? So can you do more reps or finish a workout that you couldn't before? So I'm thinking of like burpees. Maybe you couldn't do a burpee before, and maybe you were doing them at a half tempo, meaning like you're stepping through each move. You're not doing the jump. It's very slow and methodical. Maybe now you are doing it at full pace and you're doing the jump at the top and you're going right back down and it's not really hard for you anymore. Or maybe you can do 2 at full tempo and then you go back to the half tempo. But that is like a major progression from where you were when you started. I'm using burpees because they're quite difficult for many people, including myself, but they're really good workout exercise. Really, just overall, they're a great move. But just think about like what are you doing in your workouts? If you're following my strategies or strength training 3 days a week, my shameless plug for you to get down into the show notes and download the Just 3 workouts. They're free. They're made for busy moms. They're made by me, written by me. I actually use them 3 days a week, 3 days a week, 3 moves each, 3 sets. You're done. It takes 15 minutes. Get on with your life. When you're doing those workouts, they are strength training workouts. If you are at this fitness level where you are utilizing weights, you should be progressing in some capacity, just moving the needle just a little bit every single week. And that really depends on a lot of factors. But for example, I'm just going to say maybe you were doing bicep curls and you started out with 5-pound weights. And you're like, this is starting to get easy. I can get to the 10 reps with no problem. I'm not really feeling any resistance or strain when I'm lifting at a 5-pound level. And so you start to increase and you're like, wow, it's actually not difficult at 8 pounds. So you are increasing strength. That is huge. That is a huge win. Even I get more excited about that than the close, I think. And it's just such a great internal motivator that you are becoming strong, that your body is getting optimized and improving and getting healthier. Same thing if maybe you started the walking routine. So if you get the Just 3 workouts, I recommend walking every single day, no matter what, 1 to 3 miles, depending on what your schedule allows. If you can't even go 1 mile, just get some sort of walk in. Maybe it's just a couple laps around your block. But maybe you used to walk really slow. And now you're like feeling like, whoa, I'm actually walking at a much faster clip than I used to. Those tiny improvements, your endurance, your lung capacity, your cardiovascular system has improved. These are progress indicators. It is massive. And if you ask me, I would say that I would care more about these progressions than your weight. If you are someone, I know the goal is to lose weight, but again, if you're following my strategy, like I want you to get strong. Some people are at a healthy weight and you should maintain that weight and you should strength train for other purposes aside from weight loss. But again, I'm speaking to women in this podcast. This is a weight loss podcast. If you absolutely need to lose weight and tracking numbers is causing you anxiety or you're just not there yet, really focus on getting strong and progressing it in the gym. You will see a shift in your body composition like never before. And you're also going to see those shifts in your clothes. So I love working out. Fitness is I wish I could be working out all day long. If it, obviously my body would be wrecked, but I am so happy when I'm in the gym. Even this week, yesterday, actually, I increased 5 pounds in a particular move that I do, my goblet squats. And I was surprised that it was easy for me. I hadn't been feeling ready to increase to 25 pounds in that move. And I just did it for some reason. I was like, I was really feeling like I needed to push myself and it was easy for me. So that's how you're progressing. You need to push yourself a little bit and you don't have to make it. Maybe you working through the Just 3 workouts, you're like, okay, I'm supposed to do 10 reps. Well, sometimes we don't make it to 10 reps, but we get to 5 reps with a new weight. That's huge. That's huge. And that's okay. So that is a sign of progression that you can even get to 5 or even to 2. And then the next week you try to get maybe 3 with that same weight. That's how we progress. And that is a massive indicator that you are on the right track. You are probably losing weight at the same time as long as you're eating relatively in a nice calorie balance. You're in some sort of deficit. Again, for this conversation, you don't need to track, just track your calories. But if this is the one thing that you're like, fitness, I want to track my fitness, It's your progression in your weights, your endurance when you're running or you're walking, or maybe yoga was hard for you. You're breathing heavy. You're like, wow, that yoga workout is starting to get really easy for me. It's like I can easily just move from pose to pose. And before it was like a strain. I was tight. My joints hurt. I was breathing heavy. Now it's just kind of happening and it's no big deal. That's a sign of progression. So really, really fun way to track if you're not into tracking numerical data. The fourth way you can track is consistency in your program. So I like this one. This is kind of numerical because you are counting days, I guess, but you can just use a checklist or a calendar. Think about like when you're crossing days off a calendar, something really basic like that, where you're like, okay, I'm going to cross a day off my calendar. And what that means is that I logged my meals. Maybe I just kept a journal. I did my workout and I hit my walking goal. Or it doesn't have to be all three of those things. Maybe it's like, I did my walk today, cross the day off on the calendar. I did my walk the next, cross the day off on the calendar. Having that visual cue and that reminder that you did it, that you accomplished it, just by checking off a checklist or Xing off the days on your calendar is an incredible motivator. And it takes the emphasis off the numbers and it creates focus on the process and not essentially the outcome. I love this so much. And I am actually starting to do this in a numerical way because I'm just interested about the data. And the last couple of weeks, I have tracked my percent complete. So I do get a numerical figure. So for example, I'm supposed to walk 7 days a week. I check off on my calendar. I walked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If I missed a day, I put an X. And then from there, I take the percentage. So I walked, let's say I missed a couple days and I get, I don't know, maybe I missed half the days. I'm making up a number because you wouldn't get exactly 50%, but say, I was 50% consistent in my walking last week. And then I was 100% consistent in tracking my meals last week. That's me going into the nitty-gritty weeds of the data, the numerical data, but it doesn't need to be that. I'm actually just really interested on what is the absolute, I have to share this with you guys. What is the absolute minimum percentage that I need to be for me to continue to lose weight? So I'm not trying to be lazy per se, like what is the least amount of work that I need to do, but I am trying to figure out, what is that number? Like, because it's hard to be 100% in all areas every week. And I really want to be able to come out on the podcast and on my socials and on YouTube and say like, hey girl, you need to be 70% consistent. What if I asked you to be 70% consistent? And I could say, you could lose weight. Like I want to be able to give that little tagline, that motivator. But I guess that's not motivating for this particular conversation because numbers may not motivate you. But the focus on the process, the visual cue that you accomplished something, that you did the thing, is going to move the needle for you. It's going to motivate you. And it's going to show you too, with these other elements that you might be tracking. Maybe you're like, okay, well, last week I checked off 5 of my workouts and I saw progress and my clothes are feeling better. The next week you're like, I tracked off 2 workouts, didn't really see as much progress maybe in your clothes or in your photos, perhaps, as you did the last couple of weeks before when you were more consistent. That's all that's showing you. It's giving you the visual feedback, the visual data without the numbers. So some examples, like I said, a traditional calendar, X off the days that you accomplished the thing. Is it logging your food? Is it getting your workout in? Is it, I did the just 3 workouts, like Amanda said, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I got those done. You X those out. Or maybe you are trying to get your walks in every day. You X that off or you check it off, whatever list you have. So that's like a habit tracker. A calendar with stars and stickers. I love stickers. Let's bust out the stickers, okay? Or if you're using my workouts, there literally is a tracker on there. It is just plain boxes. There's no numbers or anything. It's just blank for you to check off with a check or an X that you did it. And from there, you can see that you are making progress. And I love this. I love all types of tracking. I do like visual stuff and drawing, and there's all these fun trackers out there that they look like coloring pages. So you like color like a flower in. In fact, my water tracker, my hydration tracker, Water Llama, I pretty much mention the Water Llama app on every episode. I'm not affiliated with them. I love this app. It's a hydration tracker. But what it does, it's not just like a generic tracker. It's a picture. And every time I tell it how much water or whatever beverage that I took, it colors in the picture a little bit for me. And if it's different beverages aside from water, each type of beverage has a different color. So it's visual, it's colorful. It's not just a generic like tracker of the numerical amount of hydration that I had for the day. It's really fun and it's coloring a picture. And once you hit your goal, the picture appears and it's this beautiful, sometimes it's the llama, that's the original one. And he's all cute and funny looking, but there's all these other characters and objects that you can color in. So get the Water Llama app. That's a really fun visual habit tracker that is non-numerical. That can be a huge motivator for you. And think about other ways that you can track your workouts and things like that. I have tools for you in the free resources vault. You can click around in there, but get the Just 3 workouts. There's a tracker in there. There's a walking tracker and a workout tracker. A single page, you can print it off, put it on your refrigerator or at your office and check off as you go. And that can be maybe the only tracking that you do, as long as it's helping you stay consistent and motivating you. That is my goal. So we have a couple more elements to consider for non-numerical tracking. So number 5 is your energy and your mood and just your overall confidence. So are you less bloated? Are you sleeping better? Are you clearer mentally? In the journal prompts episode, I think it's number 20. I think I already said that earlier. I recommend doing a star rating. I like to doodle and draw. So like anything that I can like color in or I can draw that's really visual and artistic for me is motivating. So think about, again, what's motivating for you. I like a star rating. It's easy. 5 is high stars, 1 is low star. And my energy this week was a 5 star. My mood, it was a 2 star. My confidence and my progress, it was 3. So you can just track that every week. I like to do it once a week and just watch yourself progress. Or you can say, I was consistent on my workouts. That was a 5 star. Anything that you think would motivate you to track energy wise, mood wise, confidence wise, consistency wise, think about what it could be. It's really similar to just the consistency tracker I just talked about. But these shifts often show up before the scale even moves. So your confidence is getting higher because you are eating better. You are sleeping better because you started to move more, and perhaps the scale hasn't shifted yet, but you're like, wow, that was a really great night's sleep the last few days. And that's because you started to work out. You got to work out. If you can't sleep, like fitness will change your life. But think about areas in your life, such as mood, energy, confidence, fill in the blank, that you can track instead of a non-numerical weight-centered, even your clothes or photograph-centered metric that are more internal. This can really be a huge motivator for you to keep going and hit consistency to get those dreamy weight loss results. Okay, our 6th and final non-numerical way to track your progress is general health outcomes. Now that I say this, it's actually numerical, but it's not something that you are responsible for tracking. So this would be something that your physician or your healthcare provider would be tracking. And I've said this a million times. I work in a hospital. I come from healthcare. Everything that we track is numerical. And as a patient, you are aware that when you go into the doctor's office, they take your vital signs, they take your weight, they take your height, they take your temperature, they take your blood pressure, they take your pulse, and they take your respirations. Those are your vitals. And there's some other vital signs that one could argue that they should track, like your mood and such, but those are the standard ones. And as you visit your doctor, not that you're going to your doctor too often, I recommend getting a physical once a year and just get some baselines of these things if you're not going to the doctor often and see how they improve. Wouldn't it feel great if the medical assistant was like, hey, girl, your blood pressure is much better than it was 6 months ago when you were here before? That's a huge win. That's a huge win. Your resting pulse has come down quite substantially. It's in a much healthier, stable range than it was before. Win, 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 win. That's great, you guys. Or your labs. Now, again, numerical data, but you're not responsible for tracking this data. It's the lab's job to give the numbers to the doctor. All the doctor has to tell you is that these labs are abnormal or normal, or they're low, right? They're low, they're high, they're within normal range, and he gives you solutions on how to rectify that and treat whatever it is he's looking at on your labs. How good would it feel for him or her to say, your labs are looking incredible? Now, I've gotten some funky labs in the last 6 months, nothing too concerning, but I was like, it lit a fire under my booty. Okay. So I cannot wait to get my blood drawn again to see my labs, to find out if I have improved. So again, it is numerical data, but I just want to see, have my actions reflected, given the results to help my general health outcomes. And again, your doctor is the one tracking this. You probably won't get it multiple times a year, maybe twice a year, but these are massive wins for weight loss, you guys, that most people don't talk about. And I think I need to start talking about them more too. Because yes, we want to lose weight. We want to feel great in our clothes. We want to look beautiful and confident in our photographs. We want to get strong in the gym. We want to have good sleep. But really maintaining a healthy weight and a healthy lifestyle is building your longevity and working to keeping you well, disease-free, and strong internally, not just your muscles, like cellular strong, okay? Longevity strong. And that right there is worth all of your efforts to lose weight, even if it's just 10 pounds. It doesn't have to be a lot to really drive improved general health outcomes. And I just want to end with that. And I want you to think about that yes, this is a numerical data set that your doctor would track, but putting in the effort to lose weight, even if it's just 10 pounds right up front, participating, just moving more. Don't worry about what you're doing. I just want you to move more, cleaning up your nutrition. Maybe you're not going to track your calories yet. Just starting to make those healthier tweaks here and there. You're really going to see a lot of progress and huge general health outcome wins that are so worth it. It's worth your life, you guys. This process is worth your life and your health. So whether you're a spreadsheet lover or a feel it in your jeans kind of gal, you have to track something or you'll feel like you're going nowhere. So I encourage you to pick one or two of the methods, probably just one. I don't want you to overdo it, and start tracking in a non-numerical way. And you can do that by just keeping notes in your phone, whatever, photos like we discussed, trying on that favorite outfit, tracking your mood, using my Just 3 workout and walking tracker that you can download below. It's free, you guys. It's the first link in the show notes and description on YouTube. And get your tracking on in a non-numerical way. And hopefully this has been something that you can utilize that will inspire and encourage you outside of looking at the numbers all the time. The number on the scale is important, but it's not as important as you think, especially when we're talking about gaining strength in the gym and just shifting the way our body looks, and also those general health outcomes that we talked, right? Staving off disease, sleeping better, hormone balance,
all those things that you hear, those buzzwords that you hear on social media and in the general culture, all those things can be optimized and supported through just moving more and cleaning up your eating. Just really 2 simple steps. Of course, you have to be consistent-ish. I'll let you know what that number is after I've tracked and I get a number, but consistent-ish is enough to see some really, really big results. So how are you going to track? Put it in the YouTube comments. I want to know, which option are you going to choose? Is it going to be photos? Is it going to be a special outfit? Is it going to be your mood? Is it going to be just progress tracking on your program? So your habit tracking? Is it going to be maybe checking in with your doctor a couple times a year? What is it going to be? I want to know. Put it in the YouTube comments. They're all great options, you guys. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. My goal, as always, is to help you find inspiration and excitement around healthy living, and to spark curiosity and ultimately action to learn more about how you can feel and look your best without feeling overwhelmed as a busy mom. If this show resonates with you, I'd love to ask for your help in supporting the podcast so I can continue creating helpful episodes and offering free downloadable resources to as many busy moms as possible. Here are a few totally free ways you can help support the podcast. First, you can subscribe to the Health Hobby podcast on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And on Apple and Spotify, you can also leave a 5-star review. Subscribing and leaving reviews really do make a difference, so thank you in advance. Another great and free way to help support the show is to share this episode, either on your social media or directly with a friend who might enjoy today's topic. As a reminder, if you have any content questions or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the YouTube comments. And if you're looking for free resources I often mention in episodes, I keep them all in one handy place. Just click the free resources vault link in the show notes of any episode to access everything. You can connect with me directly on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. The handle for all of them is at the Health Hobby Podcast. And last but not least, I have an epic community newsletter. It's a great way to go deeper on podcast topics and connect with me more personally. I share parts of my own healthy living and weight loss journey that only my email subs get access to. It's a fun, encouraging space where we build real conversation and community among busy moms working toward better health and weight loss together. To join the newsletter, again, it's totally free. Just scroll down to the show notes, click newsletter, and enter your email address. I'd be so excited to have you join me and the hundreds of other moms in our tight-knit, healthy living community. Thanks for being here. Until next time. Hey there, me again. Quick disclaimer. Here on the Health Hobby Podcast, I share tips, insights, and ideas to help you on your weight loss and fitness journey. But I'm not your doctor or your personal health guru. Before diving into any nutrition or fitness plans I talk about, make sure to check in with your healthcare provider. They know your body best. Think of this podcast as your cheerleader and a place for healthy living idea inspiration, not your prescription pad. Stay safe, stay smart, and let's crush those goals together. Until next time.